Question 55 on the AP Statistics Midterm Review Packet starts out by saying a public opinion poll in Ohio wants to determine whether or not registered voters want to approve a measure to ban smoking in public areas. They select a simple random sample, SRS, of 50 registered voters from each county in the state and ask whether they approve or disapprove of that measure. Now, this is an example of what sampling process. Now, I'm going to go ahead and focus here on what type of sampling process was used. Now, it does say, by the way, a simple random sample, but I'm also going to kind of highlight what's going on there. We are taking a simple random sample, that's good news in SRS, of 50, so I have a sample size of 50, n equals 50. But notice it's not just one simple random sample of 50. I'm taking that from each county. So let's think about it this way. If I'm going Central Ohio, I'm going to take a simple random sample of 50 from Franklin County. I'm going to take a simple random sample of 50 from Delaware County, from Lincoln County. That's what I'm going to be doing. So that's really the process they're doing. But what's nice about this is a good time to review some of our definitions. So that's what I'm going to use it as. I'm going to use it as a chance to kind of go through some of our definitions of our sampling process. So a systematic random sample. That is a sample that decides randomly where it's going to start. So you randomly select a starting location, and then you sample every nth person. So that's where the system comes in, every nth person, systematic. But it's random because your starting person is randomly selected. So you randomly select a starting location, and then you sample every nth person. That doesn't sound like this. It's not like every 5th county in alphabetical order is a simple random sample is done from that. That's not what's done here. This is every county has a simple random sample of 50. All right, so is it stratified? Now, a stratified random sample, we always kind of phrase it as similar characteristics within the strata, different between the strata. That's a stratified random sample. It is similar characteristics. That's how you create your strata. And you group them together, and you're going to sample in there. And then between the different stratas, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, however many you have, it's going to be different between them. I'm a multi-stage. One way of thinking about this is that you take a simple random sample, then from that simple random sample, you do another simple random sample, and then from that simple random sample, you do another simple random sample. So that's a random sample from a random sample from a random sample. I don't think that's it. Simple random sample. That was actually in the prompt, right? We took a simple random sample of 50. So that's tempting, because I see that phrase in the prompt, and I go, well, that's obvious. It tells me simple random sample of size 50. Now, you can see the definition to the side. I want you to see this to understand what a simple random sample is. I'm not going to address that. I am going to address the trick. It is tempting because we did do that. We did do a simple random sample of 50, but we didn't do it from the population, the entire state of Ohio. We did it from each county. It's kind of like we broke down the state into these different groupings, and then we did a simple random sample from that grouping. And so then you have cluster. Clusters are kind of the idea as opposite of stratified. Here we have similar characteristics between the clusters. So each cluster is very similar. It's different within the cluster. Remember, clusters we did in class dealing with the idea of fun size M&M packets. We try and make sure that's representative of the large size, regular size M&M packets. That's a cluster. It is similar characteristics between each bag of M&Ms. Each bag of fun M&Ms should be similar with it, but different within. I should have different color ones within my fun bag of M&Ms. So I'm stuck. If I'm thinking of this, I'm stuck between cluster and I'm stuck between stratified. So I have to kind of think about what's going on here. If I'm thinking about different counties in Ohio, the counties could be different. And by the way, I'm not, and I'm doing a simple random sample inside each county. A cluster is you randomly select one of the clusters and you sample everybody within it, or every person in it, every individual, every subject in it. That's a cluster. A stratified is you break them into strata, and then you do a simple random sample inside each strata. That sounds like what's going on in our problem. In our problem, we are dealing with a stratified random sample. And each county is a strata, and we're doing a simple random sample of 50 from each one of those. So the answer here is going to be choice B, a stratified random sample. So hopefully that helps you with our question 55.